This episode is brought to you by the Disney Plus Hulu Max bundle with plans starting at just $16.99 a month. Stream the latest seasons of The Last of Us on Max, Andor on Disney Plus, and the final season of The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu. All of these and more streaming soon. Terms apply. Visit Disney Plus Hulu Max Bundle.com for more details.
Welcome to Worse Than You with Mo Fry Pasic. That is me, I am Mo, and every week I'm asking today's most captivating artists how they got their acts together. This show is not about their best or most famous or money-making work. It's about the work that means the most to them, how it shows their creative process, and why they make their art. This week's guest is an actor, writer, and comedian. You know him from Apple TV Plus's Platonic, Disney's Ahsoka, and his appearances on After Midnight. He recently starred alongside Reese Witherspoon and Will Ferrell in the Prime Video film You're Cordially Invited. Please welcome to the pod, Vinny Thomas. Ready, set, show! How are you, Vinny? Thank you for being here.
I'm good. I'm doing well. I think it hailed earlier today, and I haven't seen hail in a while, so it was nice. It was like seeing an old friend.
How did it make you feel, like, physically?
Physically, it made me feel ill and scared.
It's a scary feeling.
It's nice to look at, but it's like the prospects of it are terrifying, you know?
Well, also, like, it's like everyone's doing the bit because it's like fires and earthquakes, and it's like everyone is waiting for locusts and frogs to come from the sky. So,
and you know what? It's our own fault for living sinful lifestyles.
And it's like, why haven't we gotten those yet? We've been sinful. Are we not being sinful enough?
Exactly. We have to sin more.
Okay. So we are here to chi about bits and ghouls and goblins and laughs. And I'm excited to talk to you today because, not because of the hail, but because I think as creators and making our art, I think someone who is dancing between live performance and social media comedy has to have like such an attuned energy to what an audience is. And the process of that and the like sort of mechanization of that, I am always curious how much is conscious, how much is just individual push through, and how you work through that. So I would love for us to open up talking a little bit about your social media comedy, and then maybe we can spin back out to your in-person work.
Yeah. I mean, I think social media comedy is always an interesting prospect for me because I didn't start doing it until I had to, until the pandemic was kind of at its peak and everyone was trapped. And at the time I was living in Chicago, and all my pals in Chicago, we were all kind of posting videos and making little sketches. And it was more just for us to kind of share our art because the context normally for doing that, like on a stage, just didn't exist. But I started posting and they started to get traction in a way that I didn't expect, but ultimately liked a lot. And yeah, I think when I first started doing it, I was posting all the time. Like every day I would make a video.
Wait, really? Like, would you make a whole new one?
For when I first got started, every single day I would try to make a video.
It sounds like hell to me.
And, yeah. Well, I look back on it now and it's like, oh, it was hell. I was like trapped in my little apartment in Chicago and making a video every day because that's like what I would do. That was like my day. And now it doesn't even seem possible to make a video. Sometimes it's just hard to make one a week.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like nothing. And I do wonder sometimes if the necessity of having to make content like that is like just a really powerful force in creating, you know, and kind of putting you in a position where you need to make stuff.
It's so funny. I think about that a lot because I think about what I created during the pandemic and how I loved it, and how it was received is nice too, but it was also a different audience, right? Like people had more forgiveness for a lack of production, and so then when you're asking yourself now, like, well, why can't I churn out a video a day? It's like, it's almost like an impossible, why not? It's like, well, because everything's different, not just you know, it's like, but it's so deeply like tied together with our value as creators.
I mean, I also think social media is interesting because it's something you kind of have to do now, but isn't necessarily something everyone wants to do. I know it's hard sometimes to fight the instinct to like make the same video over and over because it'll do well,
I'm pretty late to the game on the TikTok stuff, but
Amazing.
Well, though I've scrolled. But what I found interesting was like I'd see a viral video of someone and then I'd go to their page and it would be like 50 of the exact same video in micro different ways. And I didn't know that was like a method that people used.
I think it's the method you must use if you want to go viral regularly. You do have to. Cordially. You have to repeat the same thing over and over. And I think it'll get you a lot of views and it'll do well, but it also might make you want to blow your brains out, like doing that same thing over and over and over and over and over. And I don't know. I worry about a lot. I think I'm naturally an anxious person sometimes. So the idea of making something over and over, like I had a pigeon video that did super well. And I was like, I can't make a million pigeon videos because then all of a sudden I'm pigeon boy. And then what?
That's so funny that like the exercise. I want you to make a deeply dramatic short being like, I can't be pigeon boy.
Yeah. Like a meta commentary on my,
like you're having a moral crisis about identity via pigeon.
Pigeon boy.
But it is because it's so funny because I think about like you had it was a pigeon at Pride and that video I saw before like I knew we even had like we have friends in common like Ruha and like just LA friends, but I thought of you as like a person on that internet, you know what I mean? And like I saw the Intergalactic Federation videos in the pandemic and I remember when it was like, when Saturn was conjuncting, whatever planet, I was like, yes, literally those are funny. Yeah. And it was such a relief. But then it's such symbiosis because you're saying like, there's anxiety around it, but it's like, I don't think an anxious person could generate that much if it wasn't doing something for them as well. Yeah.
I think it's nice to create work that, other people who are doing the same thing, like, so it's like, I don't know, it's like anyone who does it, like, I don't know, a wood carver. If you carve a piece of wood and you show it to other carpenters and they're like, that's a really gaggy piece of wood, I really love that. That carver is really going to be feeling himself. And I do feel the same way. So it definitely means a lot when you say you saw that video and it like cracked you up and you really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's something I don't need to worry about as much, but it is something that's always in the back of my head.
Well, we can't,
overposting.
We can't not worry about it. It's hell. It's like, because it's like, it's a constant dance back and forth between like, well, repetition is, key to in greatness in sports, in art, but also on social media, it's tied to capitalism. And so then it's these constant questions of like, what is authentic versus what is beneficial to surviving as an artist. And it's, to me, I'm like, I don't even see it as anxious. I see it as like a really attuned person to like constantly wanting to create something authentic.
Yeah, I do think, and maybe you feel this way too, like whether you've performed something a bunch live or like done it online, sometimes you do it enough times that it does lose its magic for you. And when you try to do it again, it doesn't activate the same thing nearly that it did when you started. And so you try again, but it doesn't capture that magic that you felt, and you're just kind of going through the motions of doing it.
Well, it's why I like had so much respect for stand-ups, because at a certain point, like I'd see stand-ups touring the same stuff for a year. I would get bored so quick. And it's like, yes, I can be a good actor, but it's like I'm choosing to be up here and say what I'm saying. Like I want to have fun. I don't like the idea of repeating the same thing over and over. I am not tee-hee-heeing anymore. So completely. It's hard to fake that spark when you're doing it for your own fun.
Yeah. T.
Well, there was a Charlene tweet. Someone said something like really offensive or like against like religion or like it was something, and she just responded T, and everyone it was like one of those collective times where it's like you just do not engage. You just say, oh, T. But to your live performance of it all, to the pigeon of it all, was that a shift that you had to actively keep doing of like not even just in the pigeonholing, yes, of pigeon, nice, but in the pigeonholing of internet comedian versus like, hey, I've been doing this prior to this and that performance?
Yeah, I think that's something I still struggle with a little bit.
Really?
I think it is. I think a lot of people, I don't think there's anything wrong with being identified as an internet comedian, right? Like,
no,
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't see myself that way. So sometimes when people are like viral Twitter comedian or whatever, it's like, oh, it doesn't feel great, but it's also like part of that's on me too. If I performed live more, maybe if I got a show together and toured, it probably wouldn't be so immediate for people to recognize me from online. But it's a catch-22 thing, like I got so much from posting stuff online. So who cares? And it's also something that, I don't know, everyone is doing now,
Oh,
and I like my work. So I think if I was embarrassed of the stuff I was doing, I would definitely want to keep more of a distance from it. But I think it's, for the most part, good.
It's not embarrassing at all. It's also just, I think it's to what you said earlier, it's perception of like, oh, I'm really good. And like, this isn't just like an internet fluke. I'm not just like someone making a funny video. Like, I'm talented at this. This is my job. Like it is that, it is that thing of like letting go of the idea that someone understands you as what you want to be understood as.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Is once you put your stuff out there, it's up to other people to like figure you out, right? You cannot control every iota of what people are going to come away with when they see you. That's the risk, right? You put stuff online and then people will draw conclusions about you. You can't necessarily control that. All you can control is what you're making.
It's tough. 100%. I want listeners to like key in, because all those sound like platitudes, right? Like all the things we talk about as the artists of like, you can't control what other people, it's like, no, but truly, like viscerally, like the experiential learning of not being able to control it is a wild experience of people coming up and completely saying like, I see this and this and this, and having to let go of all those projections and also allow the ones that help you and be informed by it, because your relationship is to their reaction, is to being of service to their perception. And it is like, it truly is a constant like mercury, like the liquid of it. You're like moving.
Yeah.
It's intense.
I think it's also sometimes a little terrifying when a video does really well. You don't know that people will interpret things in a way that you could have never feasibly.
Oh my gosh, please give examples.
Understood. Well, I think sometimes I'll make satirical videos that are so, to me, and I think to most thinking people, obviously satire, that it doesn't occur to me that someone wouldn't think that way. Like I have a video where I pretend to be Clarence Thomas's grandson.
Sure.
And I like make up all these stupid stories about him growing up. And it's
so
very obvious. When I'm talking about how Clarence Thomas would like get angry and piss himself, like, and I would remember this as a child, like, obviously that's not, obviously. But I had a litany of comments where people were like, that's your grandfather and you ought to respect him. And then on the other side of things, it was like, oh, that's your grandfather? You should be so embarrassed. Why are you telling us? That's stupid.
Oh my God, like liberal moms being like, hey.
Yes. Girl, I had the blue wave. I had the red wave.
Magenta up in this bitch.
I'm magenta in this bitch. And I don't know, it's just so foreign to me when people can't understand. And then there's that. And then there's also like, oh my gosh. What did I do? I made one video where it's like, talking about a Stanley Cup, and I guess I stuck my tongue out a little bit.
Okay.
I didn't even register for me, but I guess people saw my tongue. And like preemptively, they were like diagnosing me based on what they thought my tongue looked like. And
they tongue mapped you. This is hell on earth. This is hell on earth.
It is terrifying. It's like they will find a part of your body and try to figure it out.
Oh.
And you can't see that coming. You cannot. You have no idea.
Oh. Because also like.
Very funny though.
That was like one of my fears as a kid. I did learn Chinese traditional medicine, like because there was like a book around my dad's office, and I like, bah, 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 bah. And then I like when girls in photos like stick their tongue out, so I'm like, I like assumed everyone else could see. I'm like, well, they're gonna see that girl has candida overgrowth. Like it's like, but it's like one, no, like two, like it's so funny because this feels like my worst nightmare come true. Like it's
yeah.
People, one, diagnosing you psychotic. Two, you're like living like. What? Like you're seeing like the texture or side of my tongue and deciding I have a terminal disease probably. Like,
yeah, no, that was it. They were like, you have leukemia. And I was like, I have a geographic tongue. There are just spots on it. You don't need to get into it.
I ate too much candy and it's a little bit irritated today. Like, what? Like, there's some bumps.
Who knows? It's just so funny to me. But it's that stuff. It's like you can't prep for that. And it's just, you have to either guard against it or get in the mix.
Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started today at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Some things work better together, like NARS's Soft Matte Complete Concealer and Radiant Creamy Concealer. Soft Matte Complete Concealar erases and blurs imperfections with full coverage. Then, Radiant Creamy Concealer evens and brightens with a luxurious texture and radiant finish. 2 concealers, 1 flawless look. Perfect for a no-foundation base. NARS, better together. Visit Ulta to shop now.
So, to that point, in more of the process way and more of like clay on the mound to prepare, once that started happening, do you like have a technique you do to like emotionally prep yourself, or you just live and let live? Like, that's intense when there's so many like, that's personal. That feels so intense.
Yeah. I think what I have to decide first and foremost is like, what am I trying to say with whatever I'm making, right? Am I making a fun animal video where I want it to be funny, but it would be cool if people learn something? Do I want to make something that's satirical because I'm kind of frustrated about a certain situation? And what feeling do I think people are going to come away with? And then I try to think of every reaction people could conceivably have.
Do you really?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I
This
feel
is
like
fun. Wow.
I have to prepare for whatever people are going to say kind of mentally, because that might be an opportunity for a fun comment and a second video, right? It's kind of a futile exercise because at the end of the day, you can't prepare for what everyone's going to say, but you can certainly guess some stuff.
Oh, yeah. You have to know expectations to subvert them.
Yeah. I think that's one of the big lessons I've learned is that you can, to some extent, prepare for what people are going to say, and you should do that because it'll make your videos a little sharper if you're thinking of things from different angles.
Thinking outside your own experience, which a lot of commenters have never done in their entire life.
Say that, absolutely.
But okay, I love this because I think when like creating, I'm wondering if that was like a learned over the course of different things going viral, of different like, was that something that you eventually incorporated, or was it just like a protection reaction?
I think it was learned. I think there were a couple videos that early on, I think were misinterpreted maybe. And when I first saw the tide turning a little bit, I'll delete the videos. I think one of my core philosophies is that I delete videos. Look, it's so worth it to delete a video when it causes you stress. I'm not going to be thinking about it. If I'm in a position where I'm thinking about one of my little videos that I post online.
Yeah, why would you die on that hill? Yeah.
It's not worth it. I'm not going to argue with you. I don't care.
If I'm spending therapy money on this, honey.
Not worth it. If something is attracting racial slurs, like to the nth degree, I'm not keeping it around. I don't care that much, right? Y'all got it. So I think that's a lesson is like, if you think beforehand about what people are going to say about this, it's easier to either guard against that or prepare for it by adding specific verbiage in the video so that it's not a problem.
And you still get to say what you want to say without feeling like you were censored in some way. Like you get to preemptively say it.
You censor yourself. The little people in your head do the censoring.
That's actually going to be the soundbite. It's like, if you censor yourself, nobody can censor you. And then
me when they start burning books. You burn the books in your head first, they can't get them.
Oh, absolutely. I wish I could burn the books in my head. There are so many. It's a Library of Alexandria.
Library of Alexandria.
Wow, incredible niche reference.
It was on the tip of your tongue, I could tell.
Yeah, it has to be. I have a Rosetta Stone wallet. I love that shit. But to this point of like growing, or like, I think social media is unique in its medium because it is such an immediate data collection for the artist, right? They can grow and change with their own art so quickly, but the sacrifice then is having to know yourself so well to know what parts you want to sweep away and all of that. And it struck me, like kind of looking at your career and path, that this nature and this animal aspect keeps coming through, and this kind of like trajectory where you're like, I would love to like focus on this and go here. And I'm curious if like the social media viral of the pigeon, of the animals, like inspired that, or that was always a bit of you and you saw that opportunity here and you're like, let's go.
Oh, that's always been a bit of me. Some might even argue a majority of me. I do sometimes think I was designed for more of a straightforward, like scientific career. I think there's something about the regularity of it that I think I would respond to. Until I was 17, I wanted to be the curator of birds at a zoo, specifically the Bronx Zoo, because I love animals so much.
17 is old.
17 is an all time. I made the pivot after trying comedy and really, really liking it to the point I was like, I kind of have to try this because I think I'd regret not trying this more. Which is not to say that I don't regret not like going in and working with animals and being a biologist or zoologist or whatever. I just think for me, it felt more like a challenge and the ceiling felt higher. And especially when you're young, you're like, I really want to do that. And so I kind of made that pivot. But I also think eventually I'm going to make the two interests kiss.
Sure.
I'm going to make them meet and I'm going to figure it out. But yeah, I've always been a big animal person.
You have in many ways, because like I always like, one of the things when I'm writing, I get sort of gluttonous where I want to incorporate all my things I love into a single piece. Or like, and like, I mean, I'm like, this would be a great opportunity to, to talk about Nebuchadnezzar. It's like, no.
Nebuchadnezzar.
I love it. But then I think like you had this one video, I forget now because I saw it ages ago, but like you were talking about like the different types of lizards, and it was like the lizard kid or something. It was something so specific. And it delighted me because it was clearly someone's niche interest that like got an opportunity to like be made fun of in art with sharing, but also earnesty. And of course you'll find a way to blend those. I think it's so fun when you find the right time and place to use the things you actually love in comedy.
Yeah.
It's a damn practice. One day I'll blend
ancient Mesopotamian cultures.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm gonna start writing my jokes in cuneiform, which also I've only ever seen written, and some people pronounce it like cuneiform. I don't never know.
No, it's cuneiform.
Thank you.
It has to be cuneiform. Why is the I there if it's not cuneiform?
I think the I's in a different place. I sometimes scramble those. And I think a lot of people do on that one. Speaking of writing, incredible segue. So for you, how are you like logistically making these things?
Well, every now and then I like to think I'm holding myself to a schedule, and then I don't.
I can't believe you even hold yourself to a schedule. Good job.
There are times when I'm like, okay, I'm going to post one video like every other day, and then I don't, or I'll do that for a few days, and then it'll be, once a week until I decide that I've kind of had enough of Instagram for a little while, and then I take a break. I think maybe more structure would be good, but I don't know. Sometimes it's just like you gotta find the thing that you like and you want to make a video about, and that doesn't happen all the time. So you just wait until the thing happens. If you want to make something topical or whatever. What I do is I sit down and I put the camera on and I ramble in front of it.
Do you really?
Pick a character. Oh yeah, every single time, and I'll just ramble out a video for 2 minutes. And then I trim it down, and that's it.
Talk about tea. I think this is full tea.
Is that tea?
That's tea. You're like, just channel a character and then edit the good parts that you didn't like on Watchback as Vinny?
Yeah. So that's like, they're all choppy in clips like that because I'm just cutting down any space, and then that's it. It's just the one take that I do. Unless it's like if it's more technical, then I will write specific jokes just so that I have them. But that doesn't usually happen. I'll usually do that if it's like a collab or something. But if not, it's sit down, ramble, cut, post.
That's an exciting, I think for people like to hear about form and process, that's like a very liberating one. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like there is that pressure to be like, I'll write this joke and I'll put this joke in here. But then to truly just be like letting the character be funny and like, there's a lot of freedom in that.
I think the fun thing about making videos online and doing the internet stuff is that the timing can be everything. Timing is great. Like, I love pacing my things out in a way that's funny. And even if it's not strictly set up punchline, sometimes the setup is me starting to say something and the punchline is how long it takes for me to respond. Or the punchline is that I move my eyes in a funny way, or that I look away and kind of a terrified face kind of to my right or left. I think sometimes that's the joke. And that doesn't require writing. It just requires you kind of being in that moment, that character.
Llévate más de lo que esperas todos los días con el nuevo McValue en McDonald's. Ahora puedes comprar uno y sumarle otro por $1. Así que cuando tu equipo favorito enfrente a sus rivales, enfrenta tus antojos con $5 Meal Deals. Y si estás corriendo para alcanzar el desayuno, corre al app para llevarte ofertas antes del cutoff. Tú decides, y con McValue, tu decisión siempre rinde más. Precios y participación pueden variar. BOGO $1 válido para un producto de igual o menor valor. Debe estar registrado en Rewards para ofertas en el app.
Springfest deals are still in full swing at Lowe's. Right now, get 5 bags of Stay Green Premium Color 2 cubic foot mulch for only $10. And get up to 40% off select major appliances. Plus, save up to $300 when you buy 2 or more select GE kitchen appliances of $396 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 4/16, excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details and qualifying items.
It's like writing on the fly, right? Like it's writing, editing, directing in your head while it's happening. It's like it is all those awarenesses at once, because it's like, yes, like you can say like on the page, sure, but you're not going to find that. It's why you know, good actors are good actors. They're going to find something different in the moment, even if it's not on the page, even if they're saying the specific thing.
I mean, I often have it happen where like I'll do one video, but then something about it is off, right? Like maybe I have a little booger in my nose or something, and I'm like, oh shoot, I have to redo this. And then I'll go back and watch it and like write down all the jokes I did. And I will try a million times to kind of hit that mark that I hit the first time and make it feel the same. But it doesn't. It's always a little off and a little worse. And I cannot for the life of me recapture what I did when I was just making it up right then and there. That's, I think, the trickiest thing in the world.
It is, I'm consistently hearing this from all my dear improviser friends. And I think it's the disease of like how giddy we get when we created something in the moment. And that spirit and joy is like imbued into the lines. So then when someone says like, oh, that was funny, say it again. It's kind of like, oh, like, are you serious? Oh, and it's like so hard. And we all know how to act, but for some reason, because it has that original attachment to how fun it was in creation, it's like, oh, I'll never be that fun again.
Where is the je ne sais quoi? I'll never recapture the je ne sais quoi.
Where's the whimsy?
I can't find the whimsy.
The je ne sais quoi whimsy. The whimsy quoi.
Whimsy c'est quoi?
Whimsy c'est quoi is a beautiful drag queen, I'm sure. Please welcome to the stage, Whimsy c'est quoi?
Whimsy c'est quoi?
I think, because you started at Second City, correct?
I did, yeah. I moved to Chicago and I auditioned for their like conservatory program, and so I started doing that. Ooh la la.
Conservatory.
And Chicago's interesting because it is like this kind of mecca for comedy, and everyone there is funny. You go to Chicago and everyone's having a good time. Everyone's trying new things. Everything's great. But there was also this culture of everyone trying to get a job at the Second City, which in the moment feels great. But then you look back on it, you're like, there are like 12 jobs? And there's like a million improvisers trying for these things. They must have a list like pre-made that's miles long of who they want to fill those positions. And you're just kind of spinning your wheels. So I think at some point, if you really want to kind of grow your career and do this more, it's like an instinct. It's like a, baby sea turtle running to the water. It's like, well, I did that. I have to go get eaten by a shark now in LA.
I know. I was going to say the metaphor is tough because many of those sea turtles don't make it to the water.
You know what? And that's why I chose the sea turtle as the
and that's a good nature. That's a good nature person. You know it.
Sometimes a seagull's going to grab you on the way. And that seagull's you're going to be a real estate agent with that seagull, and that's totally fine.
And guess what?
I mean?
That seagull made sure, because the second you got in the water, you actually wouldn't have eaten, so you wouldn't even had a real estate career.
That seagull saved your life.
That seagull was me.
That seagull was me.
Sudi,
and then Jesus carried the seagull.
When Sudi and I's favorite bit to do is that no longer reads because not enough people know the culture of it, is when we take someone's photo and we hand the phone back, and that was your test shot, which is Tyra Banks on Top Model, where it's like, and that was your test shot. That's how good you are.
I do a bit about Tyra Banks all the time. I do stand up about her constantly. I just think she should be locked up. I think I keep waiting for her come to Jesus moment to happen, where there's a big expose about how awful she was. She was brutally wicked on America's Next Top Model. Beyond the pale bad.
It was
bad.
I saw a post of a recent award she received, and she it was quote unquote acknowledging, where she was but it was I had to fight for representation for people from different socioeconomic, different whatever, and she was yes, it was a messed up time. Yeah, there was stuff I totally would have done different, but I was the only one fighting for that. And then it was yay Tyra in social media, and I was oh, that's the path we're taking? I'm sorry, did anyone see the viral clip of the everyone do a different race photo shoot?
Thank you. And you know what? The only award she should be getting is handcuffs from The Hague. That's it. That was a crazy show. It was really crazy.
Did you watch it at a formative age?
Yes. The way she would she'd shave a girl bald, take a picture of her, call her ugly, tell her it's her fault.
Oh, the girls would be or she'd have the religious people be naked, and she was if you can't be naked because of God, you can't have a job. And it's what?
And then she would take the picture and she'd be this picture's ugly, get out.
Yeah, that was rough.
You took the picture, you nut. Pick a better picture. Are you insane?
That part was tough because they had oh
God. And then the rabid dog thing on her little talk show. Sorry.
Okay, well, one of my favorite things, because again, Tyra destroyed quite a few folks, and it is very unspoken about. But one of my favorite episodes is 2000 whatever era I was coming up in. It was a lot of the girls at my school were. I went to a private school, and then the girls at the public school that I knew for volleyball were cool slutty girls who also would have eating disorders and cut themselves, and that is obviously there's needs at home.
Yeah, you said cool.
They were cool, unfortunately, because usually people who have trauma are cool, and so they obviously had trauma, and that's what led to different eating disorders, which we love. And so my sister and I remember watching because we wanted to be there for a friend, but there was this episode that Tyra did on eating disorders, so we were on her Tyra show. And my sister and I were we can maybe learn more about why so-and-so does this or whatever. And it was one of it. At the time, my sister and I were dying laughing, and we were children, because Tyra's whole thing was she was I don't want to teach girls how to have an eating disorder. I don't want to teach them what methods to use. I don't want anyone to speak about what they did, but talk about your disorder. And so then all the girls would be I used to make myself through what? No. And she'd be
oh my God.
It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I just think of how damaging that episode alone. We might literally have to cut this whole segment because it's literally, I don't even know if people are ready to talk about how damaging Tyra is, but it stuck with me in this insane way where I, as a kid, was this adult woman is being so reckless with some of the most sensitive issues to people on the earth, and we're just giving her TV time.
Look, I'm comfortable being what Hannibal Buress was for Bill Cosby. I would be for Tyra Banks, and I think it's totally fine.
And I can also post all the photo shoots I did at 13, pretending I was on Top Model, and I can be I did love this. Oh my, are you joking? All of them are like this. I'll send you one later.
Thing?
It's me, 14.
Hideous.
Fully caved in on my own body.
Hunched over.
Oh, absolutely. Hunched in the most, or the female women's magazine, soft. Men's magazine, booty tooch. And it was like, what are you teaching people? Okay, so now that we've made it clear that Tyra Banks is one of the most important persons in culture, and
important is a good term. She's important in culture.
Yes, absolutely, and means a lot to us, neither positive nor negative. Well, also, you know what I find fun about like us going off on like, or even in stand up, right? It's this joyful release of fixations, right? Of like, hey, this like fucked me up at this thing, or I'm obsessed with, you know, animals. And it's so funny when we talk about process, because sometimes it's just like you were a little kid at a party waiting for someone to ask about, you know, the emus, and you're like, the second it happens. And so like a medium offers itself to you. It is like, you don't have to think. You're just like, oh, make something.
Yeah. I do think, that what's nice about loving animals and knowing about all these animals is having this kind of immediate well to go to, and also having a fun baked in audience of people who are not often catered to when it comes to comedy, right?
Sure.
Like the people who really love animals and really know a lot about them, they don't often see a video about like a micro gecko or a pygmy chameleon or
a normal gecko all the time. A micro gecko, never.
Oh yeah, never the micro geckos. They're too small, barely noticeable. Yeah, no one's making videos about javelinas. I got to be the one to make a video about a javelina.
Mr. Javelina, Mr. Dab Javelina. Do you know that song?
Are you rapping?
Well, it sounds like a perfect fit. You could use that. What's a javelina?
Okay. A javelina is a peccary, like the little pigs that live in the Southwest. They're not literally pigs, but close relatives.
I love that you said the second word as if that was going to be clarifying to me.
Well, some people know what peccaries are, but they don't know what javelinas
Pecorino
are.
cheese.
Pecorino Romano. That's a drag name.
I know. We're dropping into full
Romano.
drag bits every 5 seconds.
Oh my God. Wait, I just thought of a really good one.
What?
Did I mention this on one of us? Maybe I did. I don't know. Are you ready?
Yes.
Lydia Garbage Can or Lydia Tupperware.
Oh my God, I can't tell which is better. They're both so good.
I know, it's amazing.
Also, speaking of animals, Vinny, there's maybe the craziest rodent I've ever seen in my life. It looks like a ground squirrel, but it's a mouse.
You got a rat in your apartment?
No, it's outside.
Oh, ground squirrel, but it's a mouse.
You know how ground squirrel has the stripes and the dots on it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Wait, so it's got a mouse tail?
Yes.
But it's got stripes?
Yeah.
Huh. Sometimes squirrels, their tails will get stripped if a bird of prey grabs them or anything.
Oh, that's I've actually seen that. Yeah, I was like, little pig.
Little pig.
Maybe it's a little oink oink. So wait, I am all over the map because I am completely derailed by the joy of speaking about Tyra Banks, which if listeners are listening, we might have gotten too impassioned and have edited it, or if they're not, we didn't.
Just truly
and that never happened.
And leave all the rest of the context.
Oh my God, that'd be so funny. That'd be so funny. But like with this, it also feels like you've eeped it in such a titrated way where, you know what I'm saying? Like it feels like eeped, which is actually a medical term. But you've eeped these passions in because it's not just like, you know, I really love fashion. It's like, no, I think I have essentially a degree and like in zoology and no micro geckos or whatever. And so it's like, it's fun watching the pacing of that and that process. And I think like, do you like have pitches for like a Jeff Corwin type thing? Are you writing those things?
I would love a Jeff Corwin type thing. And I love that you brought up Jeff Corwin instead of Steve Irwin. That is quite a fun little pool.
I love him. Oh yeah. Well, because to me, you don't do what Steve does. You do what Jeff does.
I do what Jeff does. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just look hot and get in rivers and catch fishes.
What's nice about Steve is that he would act the excitement. That part was the excitement of his own discovery. Yeah. Whereas Jeff was teaching you pretty directly about, you know, like what that animal was. And it was like less about him, which not to say that Steve like made it about him. That was the joy of watching it.
They jump back online and they say, you have to stop talking about Steve Irwin.
I get canceled because I criticized Steve Irwin. Vindy calls me.
I mean, I love nature. I would love to have a nature show. I always try to figure out, I'm still, I think, thinking about a way to make that's not typical, right? That isn't just kind of a straightforward Vinny talks about animals, which might be very fun. But I don't know. I think in this moment, with what kind of the environment and the climate are reckoning with, like the reality of that, I think it would have to be a little bit more pointed. And sometimes I've been thinking about a variety show with kind of an interesting climate focus, but it's totally like comedic and satirical and something like that I think is a little more suited for the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Still ruminating around on it.
Well, I'm interested if we, zooming out and looking about the way you create, I'm interested in that because, people say they have their like plans or they have their pitch deck or their pilots, and your creation style is so living with the medium and in the moment, right? Like channeling a bunch and then allowing the editor part of you to come in and be the other aspect. And so, I don't know, I think it's easy to feel like we even should know what it is when it might be something that needs space to be discovered in relation to, the TV format or whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't think I'm in a rush. I am the way you describe it is good. I'm like a dump and cutter, right? I like dump and cut.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe this is a bad thing. I just don't feel rushed often when I need to make something or I'm making something, and for better or worse, right? Like sometimes that's great because you get something in a place where you really like it because you've marinated on it and you've taken a lot of time. But in this industry, it's not always great because someone will kind of take that leap before you or kind of make that move before you do. But I don't know. There's enough pie for everyone. If someone makes the move before I do, they make it. I'll make something else. It's okay.
Our last guest used the exact same. Is that a common idiom? There's enough pie for everyone?
I think it's an idiom that people have come to rely on as if it's a life raft. Because I think it's true.
They're white knuckling it.
They're white knuckling.
There's enough pie for everything.
There's enough pie. I can have some pie.
Well, it's so funny because I do think of it because it's, to me, what's so interesting is when you think of a pie, it's so funny that people are holding on to that right now. It's true, right? There, of course, is. But pie feels like such a small thing. And I understand it's like a pie chart of like everyone. But the visual that comes to mind when we're talking about abundance is like a tiny metal tray.
I think, first of all, you've got to start buying bigger pies. I think that's the first problem, is you be buying tiny pies.
I love my pies in moderation. I don't need one whole pie at once.
She's a ham pie diva, I can tell.
So give me a coconut cream pie slice. Let's go. Let me be a little drunk at a diner.
You have my blessing. Go to Fred's, tear it up.
I do think it is indicative, though, of the space we're at. Though I really mean this. I know I'm being, too metaphorical, but it is, there's so many idioms that could become popular right now. And the one that is like ostensibly an individual abundance is like the one where like, yeah, I can help I too.
I don't know. I think a lot has changed, right? I think a lot about the industry has changed. It's not, the way people are talking isn't like, it's an eat or get eaten world, bitch. And if you don't step on someone else, you're not going to make it up there. If you don't karate chop your best friend in the throat, you'll never be a star.
God.
Like we've pivoted
Honey, give
from
that guy a blowy.
Give that guy a goddamn blowy. We've pivoted from that to like, we have the internet now, and at any point, anyone can blow up and be successful. Anyone. It can happen to anybody. And even without the internet, it can happen to anyone. So you just, especially if you're talented. I have so many very talented friends, and it's literally, for each one, it's just been a matter of time before they've gotten something, It is. It's just a matter of time. If you keep working and you're good at it, you'll do pretty well. I think so.
I know so. The thing I remind people of, who doubt that, because I'm like, without fail, like the talented people I know get success. It's a matter of whether or not you're able to like financially or emotionally sustain yourself when you don't have the kind you want.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is the only hitch. It's not like the success is inevitable if you're committed to it and have passion for it. But it is, can you sustain yourself when you can't see the next step, when it is the unknown? And that's the real dance of it all, which is, of course, shitty as well.
I love us. We a little bit sound like prosperity pastors, just a little bit. It's
oh my God.
Like,
I think we'll probably be really good at that unintentionally.
Oh no, I think we'd both be really good at it. We would be like the righteous gemstones. Period.
Oh,
Amazing.
can I tell you, if you and I got like leased to like talk about our passions, the way we'd all force everything to be a metaphor, like you'd be like, and like the micro lizard, the world is big and you might be small. However,
like the micro lizard, the world is big.
Yeah, unfortunately. See, that's what I think when you're talking about these like niche crowds getting like being able to feel seen or having their comedy. I always laugh because I'm like, should I just like hit the religious crowd? You know, it's like the bar for selling out. If I'm like, okay, so in Leviticus.
I think about this all the time. I think about how easy it would be to make a conservative pivot and how well I would do. You know what I mean? Because like,
is that what Tim Dillon did?
I kinda. I think
T.
I think it's so easy. Like, it's not hard to entertain conservatives. You just have to be like mean about another group of people. And the way they do it is never like, they don't have great personalities. I'm like, I could do that. And I'd be so much, I never would because it's awful. But if I tried.
Literally, yes. Because as a pattern, as a formula, all you have to do is never have a second thought. Have a first bad thought and never have a second one.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I don't even mean like, yes, that'd be so funny. Because also like, yeah, I go and be like, oh my God, isn't it crazy when women want to shave their, like have hairy legs? And it's like, great.
Yeah.
But I even mean in like the micro where it's like, you could surf the zoology, like, conference rooms for the next 100 years, making great paper. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, should I go real hard in a certain stuff? Like there's certain like, even like non-toxic spirituality woo-woo groups.
I think you should.
No, I'm
do it. I think you should.
I'm talking about the lure of like trying to make money and focus in and not do your art, but I do love that I should do it.
Well, what's funny is like, I've seen, like, I'm sure you've seen it too. I've seen it happen. Like I have a friend, Cam, who says he makes content just for jam bands, especially for fish. Like he makes,
so this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
yes.
He makes fish content, and it's stuff that like jam band, mind you, a term I had never heard of until he told me about it. But yeah. Fish and these jam bands love his stuff so much that he goes around, he tours, he's on like cruise ships doing jam band jokes, and it's so particular to this group. And I'd never heard of this group before, but he's thriving in that niche, and it's crazy. You'll never think of the stuff that like. You don't know what people are going to latch onto, so whatever your interest is, find a way to marry it with content, and I think you'll be
yes, good. Yes, 100%. And the way you found, I like that we're talking about like your marriage of that, because there's also that pressure I'm sure people feel of like, you have to make your art and comedy a business and post every day, and you also have to like make it like readable in this way and like grab them in the first 5 seconds. And there's so many like methodologies where you're like, hey, actually, it's actually pure joy of creation that has to be at the core no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, there's good and bad that comes with that. I think some of that advice is good. I think posting regularly is good advice, right? The stuff where everyone's like, you have to grab people in the first 5 minutes, that I leave by the wayside. I make my videos long, and the people who stick around. Sometimes I look at the statistics and it's like, people will start and it'll say 90% of the people stopped watching after the first 5 seconds. And I'm like, I don't care. Because those 10% of the people who stayed for 20 seconds, they're having the time of their lives, you know?
Well, it's also because I worked in social media for like travels and hotels like for like 10 years. And one of the funniest things about like telling clients about like engagement, whatever, it's like all of your numbers go up if you have consistent full engagement. So you have that quality, even if you're temporarily getting that quantity, like over time, that those people that stayed watching are the ones actually sustaining you and raising you to bigger.
Those
pools.
are your girls. Period.
Day ones. It's really hard not to make a top model reference right now. I do like the idea of like pretending like we've cut like a full like serious conversation about America's Next Top Model.
Oh yeah,
make it the lore that we
I truly
we just had.
I want to hear this podcast, and I want to hear Tyra Banks' name bleeped out, and then nothing else, and then maybe the name of the show, and then nothing else, and everything is the same.
It's gonna be like America's Next Top Poo, and then they could be like, "Is it Dance Crew?"
America's Next Top Bleep. That's amazing. That would be such a little gag. I think you should do it.
That would create engagement, if you will. People have to research what that could possibly be. Well, we are reaching the end. We're at my final segment, which is called Thank You for Holding My Poems. And it is a moment in which it can be as big as like your biggest project as the Sistine Chapel, or as small as a barista saying hello to you on a day you needed it. But it is a moment where you felt held in an unseen, unfinished way. You felt appreciated, even if it wasn't perfection, and it's stayed with you as an artist. So the answers are completely anything that came to your mind, and I always enjoy hearing what people say.
You know what? I had a birthday party recently, and not recently. I had a birthday party last year, and I invited everyone to this bar, but I didn't realize that the bar had added like an extra billiard table to the backyard area. So it was like, there's no room for anyone, but still a ton of people showed up, and it was completely packed, and everyone hung out for a long time, even though it was like clearly not comfortable for everyone to be there. And I wasn't talking very much because ultimately I did take an edible, and I was just kind of standing to the side smiling, and I was just kind of beaming, enjoying the fact that everyone stayed there for so long, even though it wasn't like there wasn't a ton of room. And I think in that moment, I felt really held and happy and supported as an artist. And that's
such a beautiful moment. I love it. Well, it's a beautiful poem because it is the idea of sometimes we feel no matter what, even if our friends don't make us feel this way, that we might have to perform or do to, or make people laugh to be worthy of just like spending time with. And it's such a human instinct, but when you realize it's like, no, we could just be uncomfortable and that's still worth like spending time together. It's so affirming and lovely.
Yeah, it is. Both of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm kind of like that.
Kind of a superstar.
Yes, you are. Oh, we didn't even get to talk about your television work. Oh my gosh, we kept gabbing. But exciting, and also another iteration of your joy. So folks listening, you can, watch incredible TV shows, but Vinny, is there places that they can find you or things that they can watch?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and TikTok at VINN_AYY. You can also find me on Amazon Prime on You're Cordially Invited, and Apple TV Plus on Platonic.
Party rock. I love all this.
Party rock.
Party rock. Well, I end every episode by giving the listeners and my guest a compliment, and I say, oh my God, you're so pretty.
Oh my gosh.
Vinny, thank you, friend.
We did it, folks.
Worse Than You with Mo Fry Pasick is hosted by me, Mo Fry Pasick. You can learn more about this week's guest and the Worse Than You team by checking out the show and episode copy. Worse Than You with Mo Fry Pasick is executive produced by Erica Ghetto, Mariah Gossett, and Lauren Mandel for Good Get and Disco Nap Productions. Oh my God, you're so pretty.
You censor yourself. The little people in your head do the censoring.
That's actually going to be the soundbite. It's like, if you censor yourself, nobody can censor you. And then
me when they start burning books. You burn the books in your head first, they can't get them.